Welcome to Wrestling Talk in the Shop, where we cover all things professional wrestling, from new wrestling to classic wrestling and everything in between. We go to wrestling, we do some wrestling, and everything in the ring. Join us now for Wrestling Talk in the Shop.
Hey guys, it's John and Wrestling Talk in the Shop, and welcome back to the channel. We're going to do a look through a year in review of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, special year in issue of March 1983. This originally cost $1.50, and you see it's got most popular wrestler of the year is Andre the Giant, wrestler of the year Bob Backlund, and we'll get straight through it. Let's see, what's that say, Lindsay? The true story of what? That's some sort of advertisement, but it's the true story of John Hickey. What? Right here, a true story.
Oh, by John Hickey. Yeah. When I plan to retire before 50.
Yeah, well, hope it worked out for him. It's not gonna work out for any of the rest of us. Then you got your table of contents over here: Between Falls, King's Court, Dressing Room Confidential by On Assignment with Liz Hunter, In Focus with Craig Peters, Ringside with Bill Apter, Off the Top Rope by Dan Sockett, Wrestler Inquirer, 1982 Wrestling. You gonna read this? 1982.
A year in review. The special awards: the 1982 Best Wrestler and Matches, and the PWI Super Bonus Pinup, and official wrestling ratings.
All right, we're gonna look through here, see what we got here. Read that Buddy Rhodes thing there.
Buddy Rhodes received unfair treatment from Liz Hunter in her On Assignment column in January 1983, according to reader Steve Lundy. Dump Liz Hunter. In January 1983 issue of PWI, Liz Hunter wrote a column about Playboy Buddy Rhodes. She said he was going to interview him, but all she did was write bad things about him. She said the Playboy didn't deserve a title shot. Well, if she's big enough to put him down, she's big enough to get in the ring, do the thing he does, and see if she's any better. She also said he was too lazy to comb his hair or take off his jacket. How else is he supposed to keep his Playboy image? On Assignment has always been a great column, but not anymore with stupid Liz Hunter writing it. Let's go Steve Farhood and Rich Countess back instead of that woman.
And that's Steve Lundy from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was rough on her. Rough on old Liz. And then over here you've got, of course, I guess for years people have been trying to lose weight or gain weight, whatever. I guess it's, I know we battle with it in everyday life. Then we got the King's Court over here. Captain Lou Albano takes offense at Buddy Rogers' revelation that Albano has been stealing money from Jimmy Snuka. According to our investigation, Albano needed money to pay off a former wrestler of his. You got over here, I guess, for a long time, Buddy Rogers was the handler of Jimmy Snuka. I think he was the handler when all that went down with Jimmy's girlfriend and all that. I remember reading about that or hearing that somewhere, and, over here it teaches you how to catch more fish.
Action lures.
Action lures. Dressing room, what's that?
Dressing Room Confidential. Roddy Piper was happily surprised when he was informed by assistant editor Stu Sachs he had been named Inspirational Wrestler of the Year by fans. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, Piper told Sachs. I'm sure it was. It was my job to phone the winners of the year-end fans poll and record their reactions. I assumed it would be a pleasurable task, and for the most part it was. I'll always remember the astonishment of young Barry Windham, the graciousness of Bob Backlund, and the pure ecstasy of Roddy Piper. But I'll also remember the sarcasm of J.J. Dillon and the rudeness of Ted DiBiase. I think I'll let Craig Peters make the calls next year.
What we got over here?
Lose 5 to 6 inches. Yep. Bulging fat.
On Assignment. Jimmy Snuka and Ray Stevens held the NWA Tag Team titles a few years ago, but unlike many teams, the combination was not brought together by friendship. Stevens was
maybe the most money-hungry wrestler in the sport.
They're all money-hungry. Maybe he was good with his money. We got wrestling's greatest subscription deal. I guess they were pimping those subscriptions out even back then, huh? Magazine. Yeah. In Focus over here.
But they didn't want it monthly back then. They wanted it all up front.
Yeah.
Now they want you to pay $5.99 a month or $9.99 a month.
Anyway, let's go along. We'll see what we've got over here.
In Focus. Magnificent Morocco returns to the WWF. Once again, cries of the beach bum are ringing out in the arenas up and down the East Coast. Magnificent Morocco has returned to WWF with a vengeance and a new manager, Captain Lou Albano. This is interesting. Usually, one thinks of Albano as the master manager of championship tag teams. Whether you like or despise him, you have to admit that he's been successful with wrestling duos. Now, Albano seems to want to manage more single wrestlers. Morocco is the second in recent months who he has signed. The first was Jimmy Snuka. You would think that Albano would have learned his lesson by now.
Then you got over here Nick Buckwinkle and what's that? Ottawa Wiz? Is that what that
Otto
is?
wins.
And Ron Bass over here. Florida's cleanup campaign.
Look at that mustache.
Yeah, check out that mustache. Yeah. Dusty Rhodes has been looking for some help in ridding Florida of J.J. Dillon and his half-minion, and he may have found it with Ron Bass. Ron Bass has gone up Sunshine State to help the American Dream in his campaign to get rid of Dillon's rule-breaking out of the state. I'm glad to have Bass on my side, said Robert Rhodes. There's too much going on down here for one man to handle. I've been working around the clock to get rid of Dillon, and Bass ought to be the big factor in helping make Florida a safer place to wrestle once again. Bass and Rhodes are teaming up against various opponents all across Florida.
Alrighty.
We'll turn the page here, see what we got. Past issues.
Back issues.
Well, wish I had all these back
Only
issues.
$2 a piece.
Yeah. They're not quite $2 a piece anymore.
How much was it? How much did you say it was?
It was $1.50, but the back issues are...
They cost more, I guess?
Yeah, they're worth more than that now.
Well, obviously.
Now that Nick Buckwinkle has regained the AWA title, Hulk Hogan would like to get his hands around the champion as he did in May of 1982 above Captain Lou Albano's left cleaning house after Santino and Fuji lost the WWF tag titles. The captain fired the Japanese pair. There's Hogan. There's Hogan with Nick Buckwinkle posted up. I guess this was before he went to WWF. So yeah, this was. He was still in the AWA here. He was running wild, but he wasn't quite running wild nationally
Wasn't
yet.
as wild as he was.
Yeah, gonna get. Let's see.
Off to the rope. Let's see. If you wish to contribute to Shockett's mailbag, send your letters. Okay.
I love mailbag segments. I mean, that's my favorite thing. Let's see.
Sure, it's true that Tommy Rich has a lot of fans across the country, but it's also true that there are thousands of functional illiterates across the country. People in the know, however, realize that Wildfire is worm slime. How nice that people went out of their way to enter the contest. Tommy Rich is worm slime because ... Below are some of the most polite responses. Tommy Rich is worm slime because his best qualities are antiquated, womanish, deceptive, two-faced, ignorant, feeble, dull, atrocious, childish, submissive, and unsteady beyond all toleration. He pulled out his whole thesaurus for that one.
He sure did.
Tommy Rich, as a woman. Okay. Tommy Rich is worm slime because he is continuously running his motor mouth to cover up his lack of skill and talent. He's a bleach blonde egotist, and that's just outside of the ring. Tommy Rich is worm slime because he's the most pathetic, overrated, slimy, disgusting, dishonorable fool in wrestling, and those are his good points. And in fairness, there were several readers who disagreed. We shall get their responses below. I would like to be able to finish your phrase, Tommy Rich is worm slime because, but I can't. Tommy would have to become worm slime before I could tell you why he is worm slime. My love and loyalty will always be Tommy's. I love you, Tommy. You'll never get an ending to your phrase from me.
Then you got over here, it says, some people may feel that successful wrestlers like Ole Anderson are nothing but creeps. But who is anybody to argue with success? That's right. Ole was quite successful. I mean, somebody, I think it was Tony Schiavone said he was probably a millionaire back in the 80s. And Superfly Jimmy Snuka was provided with a pair of pile drivers on concrete, courtesy of Ray Stevens, but he asked for it. Anyone stupid enough to reject the genuine of a man like Captain Lou Albano deserves to have some sense pounded into his. I guess their tag team didn't hold up long. Wasn't he? No, was he tagged? Was that? I don't know which one that was. No,
He was with.
Anyway, we're moving right along. Valentine defeats Wahoo for the U.S. title. Then you got, let's see, Morocco returns to the WWF area. Around the globe, Tokyo's success. We'll turn it back this way.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
it's like a newspaper.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. 1982, the year in review. Unquestionably, 1982 was the most exciting and unusual year for fans of professional wrestling. It was the year Bob Backlund was carried out of the ring on a stretcher for the first time in his championship career. It was the year that Rick Martel was voted the sexiest superstar by nation's wrestling fans. It was the year that saw self-proclaimed King of Wrestling J.J. Dillon steal the crown of self-proclaimed King of Wrestling Jerry Lawler. It was the year that Mr. Fuji threw salt in the eyes of nearly everyone. It was the year that saw the reunion of the Freebirds and the splitting up of Tony Guerrera and Rick Martel. It was a year in which Rick Steamboat and Ric Flair couldn't decide if they were friends or enemies. And it was a year in which Rick Steamboat and Tommy Rich contemplated leaving the sport entirely. Most of all, it was a year that saw professional wrestling presented in the worldwide media more than ever before. This exposure served to raise the statue of wrestling in the eyes of the general public and to bring wrestling to new heights of popularity.
Then you got Andre over here. Then you got Hogan and Sylvester Stallone, and I guess they're filming Rocky 3.
Yeah, it says Andre was in Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. Let's see who this is. Hulk Hogan appear on the.
Sylvester
That's Johnny
Stallone.
Carson there. Then you got David Letterman. You got Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler. That's one of the greatest things I've ever seen on TV. Still. I love that. I go back and watch that all the time. And then it's tragic loss. Samoan High Chief Peter Maivia died in 1982. He's greatly missed. He'd been gone a long time. I didn't realize that's when he passed away. Mm-hmm. And you got, let's see, who is this? The NWA Buddy Rogers with two ladies.
Return to wrestling.
Yeah. Roddy Piper rippling up a magazine over here. Then you got Captain Lou, Buddy Rogers, and Jimmy Snuka down here. We'll turn the page and go right along. Let's see, we got different things over here. Dusty Rhodes.
Right. Next time, maybe he should ask Lucille Roberts instead. Dusty Rhodes hired Kevin Sullivan as a nutritionist halfway through 1982. Rhodes was serious about getting into even better shape, and Sullivan at the time was eager to help. Sullivan soon switched from bodybuilding to body busting, however, when he put out a bounty on the bones of rival Barry Windham. Rhodes' plan, needless to say, were abruptly terminated.
I think that's what made Dusty Rhodes appealing was his weight. You know, he looked like a everyday man, not just, you know, he looked different than, you know. I think if you're a pro wrestler and you want to, you know, my opinion, you know, try to get a unique look. Don't try to look just like everybody else, you know, whether it be a little heavy or a little you know, whatever. And you got Billy Graham. This is in the karate gimmick here. He was doing his karate gimmick, you know, and then you got Captain Lou over here and different teams. I mean, $10,000, the price on Jerry Lawler's head placed by Jimmy Hart and Ric Flair. $10,000 offered to Bruno Sammartino by Larry Zbyszko on the conditions that Sammartino comes out of retirement and wrestles Zbyszko in a loser leaves the country match. $10,000 based on the placed on the head of Butch Reed by the NWA champion Ric Flair following Reed's pinning a non-title in the overtime television match. $20,000 paid by J.J. Dillon by Ric Flair to wipe out all of the variable challenges of Flair's title in Florida. Man, he was spending a lot of money. See, $1,000 presented to Hulk Hogan for successfully body slamming Crusher Blackwell. Turn the page over here. We got Ric Flair with that 10 pounds of gold. Then you got Bob Backlund.
Celebrated his 4th year as the WWF heavyweight champion.
I think he was champion for like 8 years, I believe. Then you got Moolah over here. Nobody talks about Moolah anymore. She's blacklisted from history.
But she was there. Ric Flair celebrated his first anniversary as the NWA heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Greg Gagne and Jim Brazil, known as the High Flyers, celebrated their first anniversary as tag team champions of the AWA.
Then we'll go on to the 82 Achievement Awards.
One thing I noticed when we went to Mania was how, like, these belts were like, they were thin.
Yeah, they were
weren't real
just
thick.
they were just pieces of metal with a piece of leather. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't, they weren't selling replicas for $400.
Right.
And you got the hot rod there. It's my favorite all-time music there with the bagpipes. I mean, let's see, what was he?
Inspirational Wrestler of the Year,
He had
21,000 votes.
Yeah. In April, Piper tells a nationally televised audience of talents of Ole Anderson above. In August, he pronounces on the same man for insulting fellow broadcaster Gordon Sully below. The changes that took place in Roddy Piper just a few months, nothing short of remarkable. I guess he turned face in the monks. Then you got Jimmy Snuka, 6,200 votes. Mil Mascaras for 5,000 votes, and Jimmy Valiant pretty close to 5,000 votes. You got Match of the Year. Of course, that's Backlund Snuka cage match, 14,000 votes.
Without question, 1982 was a year of memorable superstar matches. A cage match topped the list in 1982. The brutal confrontation between WWF champion Bob Backlund and top contender Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Emotions were running high at the time this match drew near, and Snuka was the first wrestler during Bob Backlund's entire reign to send the champion out of the ring on a stretcher. This historic event was followed by a series of violent clashes between Snuka and Backlund, with Snuka coming within a hair's breadth of taking the WWF title away from Backlund on several occasions. But it would be in the steel cage that Bob Backlund would finally and decisively turn back the challenge of Superfly Snuka. What made the match so memorable, however, was Superfly Snuka's astounding flight from the top of the 15-foot high steel cage itself.
He did that several times. That was sort of his thing. Snuka was over. He would have been world champion if he didn't have so many demons. Then you got over here, the most popular wrestler of the year, of course, was 12,000 votes, Andre the Giant. And the backup was Ric Flair with 10,000, Hulk Hogan, a young Hulk Hogan, with 8,700 votes, and then Jimmy Snuka with 8,000 votes. Of course, Andre, he was a good-looking Andre there. He was a little leaner, more. Then you got the most hated wrestler of the year, Ted DiBiase, with 18,000 votes. The backup was Blackjack Mulligan, 9,900 votes. Superstar Graham with 6,300 votes, and Buzz Sawyer with 6,300 votes. Let's see. DiBiase drives his knee upper in the arms of Dusty Rhodes above. DiBiase shockingly changed. Dusty and Ted were friends. Other former friends now feeling DiBiase's wrath are Buck Rubley below and Mr. Wrestling 2 right below. That's a young Ted DiBiase.
Sure is.
And we got Tag Team of the Year as Greg Gagne and Jumpin' Jim Brazil. They had 11,500 votes. The backup is Mr. Sato and Mr. Fuji with 11,000 votes. And below them is the Freebirds, 9,200 votes. And the third runner-up is Ole Anderson and Stan Hansen with 8,200 votes. Let's see here. Greg Gagne. Very young there. Most improved wrestler of the year is Barry Windham with 10,000 votes. And then we got, what's this guy's name, Lindsay? I know I'm butchering his name when I say it.
Otto, it's either Wands or Wands.
I've never really heard of him.
Wands.
And then then you had Bud Sawyer with 8,100 votes and Rick Martel with 8,000 votes. Skipping a page here.
Let's see. Manager of the Year, J.J. Dillon.
Yeah.
Past winners, Lou Albano, Sir Oliver Humperdinck,
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Arnold Skoland, he was twice, the Grand Wizard, Bobby Heenan,
Check out this
George
Jimmy
Crybaby
Hart.
Cannon,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Lou Albano, the Grand Wizard, and Bobby Heenan.
Check out this. First, we had runner-up was Arnold Scanlan, and then Sonny King, and then young Jimmy Hart. That's Jimmy Hart. Man, he is young there. He looks
Look at all that hair. He didn't even look the same.
Yeah, he didn't have a mustache then. And then we have Rookie of the year, Brad Armstrong.
Caterpillar on his face.
What are you talking about, Caterpillar?
Oh, on Jimmy Hart.
I don't get it. What are you talking about?
The mustache.
Oh, okay. Okay. You don't have to go back. I figured it out now. And then Brad Armstrong had 10,000 votes. And then you got runners-up was Tiger Mask, 10,000 votes. Mike Rotunda with 5,900 votes. And the Great Kamala with 5,100 votes. Brad Armstrong was a great wrestler. I think he ended up being a referee for a long time. And you got Editor's Award, Luthez. Yep. And I always noticed Luthez. Of course, he was a wrestler way before my time, but he had that bad cauliflower ear. You know, you always noticed it on him. More advertisements than we got.
He had big ears. That's probably why I was so noticeable.
Ken Patera's Colorful World in January 1983 issue of Pro Wrestling Eye. What's that say? Heartfelty.
Oh, it's heartily welcomed by reader Ben Jazowski. I mean, he was jacked.
Yeah, he was an Olympian or contested. Maybe that was just his gimmick. I'm not 100% certain. Jerry Lawler, one of my all-time favorites. Read that. Let's see. Jerry Lawler is indeed number one in Tennessee. In fact, his feud with Roddy Piper can be traced to Piper's making fun of Davy Crockett's coonskin cap. Crockett, on an American patriot of the 1800s, is a hero to the people. Didn't he say, "Screw y'all, I'm going to Texas"? Didn't he say that? Didn't he say that in Tennessee? Wasn't he
He said, y'all can
go to hell, I'm going to Texas.
I'm going to Texas.
I thought that's right. So he left. What was he, a hero to the people of Tennessee?
He was from there.
I know he was from there, but then
everybody likes somebody from there.
And they ran him off, didn't they? I thought that's...
He left on his own.
Oh, did he? Anyway.
He left for adventure.
And you got Wrestler of the Year, Bob Backlund. Greets some of his fans after a title defense. It was warranted encouragement for his fans, provided I wouldn't be champion today without him. Bob Backlund, he was a great, he was like an all-American boy. And then, when he come back and feuded in the 90s with Bret Hart, he was like Crazy Bob, and he's been Crazy Bob ever since. And you got a young Barry Windham. He just recently inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He, 1982's most improved wrestler was characteristic modestly. Are you sure you guys added correctly? He said. Turn around.
Wrestling fans, they haven't changed much.
No, it's just more on assignment. Rookie of the Year, Brad Armstrong dedicated his reward to his father. Bullet Bob Armstrong was 1968's NWA Rookie of the Year. Or 1968 NWA Rookie. And then you got Stevens holding Snuka while Obama attacks. There is nothing Stevens won't do if he's paid enough. It's all about that money. More advertisements of back issues. And you got a young, manager Gene Anderson is flanked by his tag team champions. In 1980, Anderson says he wouldn't be surprised to see Stevens turn on Albano. And Fred Blassie, all you need is cash, and Stevens is yours for the taking, Anderson says. You got a young jacked Hulk Hogan over there wearing a Pro Wrestling PWI t-shirt. You can get your own for $7.
Too bad you don't have one.
I'm sure they're on eBay.
I'm sure. I bet they're not $7 though.
Read that about the Southern champion up here, Jimmy Garvin.
Southern champion Jim Garvin and his manager James J. Dillon above have told the NWA they will refuse to defend the title against Dusty Rhodes. Eddie Gilbert, right off to the fast start in WWF, is looking for a shot at Tiger Mask Jr.'s heavyweight belts. That's just kind of a continuation of the ringside article. And
you got, who's this, Terry Taylor and Eddie Gilbert over here? I don't know. It looks like Terry Taylor, but it doesn't say who it is, so I don't know who it is there. You got advertisements over here.
Eddie Gilbert to the right. That's him.
Okay.
I think that's what that means.
All right. The incredible Tiger Mask steamrolls on his opponents in Japan. American fans would like to see more of the NWA WWF Junior Heavyweight Champion, but Tiger Mask still has long-term commitments in his native Japan.
Yeah, take care of it.
This was the internet back before then. All right, we got to go through this. Read through the WWF's
Alrighty.
top 10 wrestlers.
World ratings. WWF Federation, number 1.
World Wrestling Federation, WWF.
What did I say?
World Wrestling Federation. I don't know what you said. Doesn't matter.
Anyway, World Wrestling Federation. Bob Backlund, champion. Number 2, Superstar Graham. Number 3, Ray Stevens. Number 4, Jimmy Snuka. 5, Pedro Morales. 6, Magnificent Morocco. 7, Ivan Putski. 8, Tiger Mask. 9, Rocky Johnson. And 10, Playboy Buddy Rose. And then the NWA, we got Ric Flair as the champion. Greg Valentine. Masked Superstar. Jack Briscoe. Harley Race. Jim Garvin, Dusty Rhodes at number 7, Kevin Sullivan at number 8, Tommy Rich, number 9, and Roddy Piper, number 10. All right, you can read the next one.
AWA, you got Nick Buckwinkle. He was the champion. Number 2 is Hulk Hogan. Number 3, Ottawa Wance. Forgive me, I've never heard of him. Number 4, Ken Patera. Number 5, Rick Martel. Number 6, Mad Dog Vachon. Number 7, Baron Von Raschke. Number 8,
Baron Von Rush.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. He did the claw. That was his finisher. I'm not good with names. Number 8 is Crusher Blackwell. Number 9, Bobby Duncan. And number 10, Greg Gagne. And you got the tag teams. You got Greg Gagne and Jim Brunzell, Jules and Jay Strongbow, Sergeant Slaughter, and Don, what's that?
Kernodle. The Samoans, Jim Garvin and John Studd. Mr. Fuji and Mr. Sato, Gino Hernandez and Tully Blanchard, Rick Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, Dusty Rhodes and Ron Bass, and Ken Patera and Bobby Duncan. And then most popular, Andre the Giant, Tommy Rich, Hulk Hogan, Dusty Rhodes, Jimmy Snuka, Bob Backlund, Junkyard Dog, Wahoo McDaniel, Rick Martel, and Rocky Johnson. And then we got the most hated, Ted DiBiase, Blackjack Mulligan, Superstar Graham, Buzz Sawyer, Ric Flair, John Studd, Ray Stevens, Abdullah the Butcher, Sergeant Slaughter, and Nick Bockwinkel.
Let's see. I think we're missing part of this magazine. I'm not sure. Then you got the... I didn't see it. Did we see a full color? Let's see.
It's probably taken out.
1980. Oh, yeah. It's full color pinup of Andre, but I never did see that.
Somebody absconded with the full color pinup.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't see any. We went through it all, and I didn't see it. But there you have it, guys. 1983. Let's see. I'll get it back up here. Pro Wrestling Illustrated Year in Review, special year-end issue. It is missing the
Andre pinups.
Andre pinups, but you know we've got pinups of Andre. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. We do all things pro wrestling on this. We do daily wrestling history videos, and we're going to Las Vegas this weekend to Double or Nothing. And we appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.